Welcome back to another online learning with Miss Giddings. Last lesson we looked at the abolition of the bloody code. Now we need to move on to something a little bit different, but it does link in because it was mentioned last lesson. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to listen to a song. While you listen to this, I'd like you to do the instructions, follow the instructions that are on the screen.
Farewell to old England forever. Farewell to my old pals as well. Farewell to the well-known Old Bailey, where I once used to look such a swell. Singing to rely, you rely attitude. Singing to rely, you rely attitude. Singing to rely, you rely attitude. For we're bound for the Botany Bay. There's a captain as is our commander. There's the boatswain and all the ship's crew. There's the first and the second class passengers. Knows what we poor convicts go through. Singing to rely, you rely attitude. Singing to rely, you rely attitude. Singing to rely, you rely attitude. For we're bound for the Botany Bay. Tain't leaving old England we cares about. Tain't cause we misspells what we knows, but because all we light-fingered gentry hops around with a log on our toes. Singing to rely, you rely attitude. Singing to rely, you rely attitude. Singing to rely, you rely attitude. For we're bound for the Botany Bay. Oh, had I the wings of a turtle dove, I'd soar on my pinion so high, slap bang to the arms of my Polly love, and in her sweet presence I'd die. Singing to rely, you rely attitude. Singing to rely, you rely attitude. Singing to rely, you rely attitude. For we're bound for the Botany Bay. Now all you young duckies and duchesses, take warning from what I've to say. Mind all is your own as you touches us, or you'll find us in Botany Bay. Singing to rely, you rely attitude. Singing to rely, you rely attitude. Singing to rely, you rely attitude. For we're bound for the Botany Bay. Singing to rely, you rely attitude. Singing to rely, you rely attitude. Singing to rely, you rely attitude. For we're bound for the Botany Bay.
Okay, so that was Botany Bay by John Williamson. That is going to be extremely important for what we're going to be looking at this lesson. So, our lesson today is about transportation. So, what was transportation? In this lesson, you're going to be able to describe what transportation was, explain reasons for transportation, but also you're going to research and analyse transportation records. I'm going to give you a couple of names that I'd like you to look up, and you're going to see what their crimes were and how long they were to be transported for. Now, key word, colony. So that is an area under the control of another country. Britain had a lot of colonies at this time, and we are going to talk about a few of them, of where people were sent for transportation. Now, what actually was it? Transportation was an alternative punishment to hanging. Convicted criminals were transported to the colonies to serve their prison sentences. So instead of being killed, they would be transported to different areas around the world to serve their sentences, doing work or setting up said colonies. Now, where were they sent? By 1775, there were 13 colonies in America, but on the Declaration of Independence in 1776, America refused to take any more convicts, so other destinations were looked at. So, in 1787–8, the first convicts were sent to New South Wales in Australia, to the harbour of Port Jackson, north of Botany Bay. So that's why that song is important. As well as New South Wales, convicts were also sent to Van Diemen's Land, Tasmania, and Western Australia. In fact, the 1823 Act also allowed convicts to be sent to Bermuda. So you can see that people were sent all over the world from America, and then unfortunately we couldn't send them there anymore, to Australia and to Bermuda. Now what I'd like to do is, you have been given this song on your handouts, so once this video is over you can have a look at it. We're going to annotate the Botany based songs. So we've got 3 things that we're going to do. You need to annotate and highlight what places you do recognise, what words you don't understand, and what's the overall message of the song. We're going to go through the first couple of bits together so you can see what I mean. So, places that you recognise. Obviously England, Old Bailey being the prison, Botany Bay we just spoke about, and then words that you may not recognise. So a swell, where I used to look such a swell, where you used to be, where you looked okay. Bound, where you're going to go. Captain, in charge. Commander, just underneath the captain. Ship's crew, people that worked on the ship. First and second class passengers. First class being upper class, second class being middle class. And a convict being a prisoner. So what you need to do is you need to go through the rest of the song and highlight and then highlight basically what words you recognise, places you recognise, and words that you do not understand which you can look up, and then write by it the overall message of the song. You're going to have a stringent 10 minutes for that. I don't think you need to have any longer. But now, once you've done that, so make sure you pause the video. Once you've done that, you're going to have a look at what the reasons for transportation was. I would like you to write these down, so I have left you some space, so you're going to have to pause this video while we're talking it through. So why did the government introduce transportation to Australia? So overcrowding. We already know that Britain was extremely overcrowded at this point with how many people, with the boom in population. We know that it was 3 million people in 1500, which boomed to 11 million people by 1750. That increased even further for there being around 40 million people by 1900. So there was a huge overcrowding in towns and cities. An alternative was needed to hanging. This was widely felt to be too extreme a punishment for minor crimes, and courts were unwilling to convict people. Imprisonment was not considered a suitable alternative at this time because of the cost. Transportation was the middle punishment between the extremes of execution and the milder whipping or pillory. Remember what the pillory was, which were less used by this time. Australia was also the unknown. The government hoped that the idea of being sent to an unknown place at the edge of the world would terrify people so much that they would not break the law. Completely remove the criminals. Transportation of criminals had one advantage in common with hanging. It would reduce crime in Britain by completely removing them. They wouldn't have to worry about them ever again. Increased claim over Australia. Transportation would help Britain claim Australia as part of her empire and to build up control over the region. This would stop France and other rivals gaining whatever resources Australia had. And finally, reform. Transportation would reform the criminals. They would be forced to work and learn skills that would be useful when they were freed. So you've got all those different reasons for transportation. Now what I'd like you to do is, that's all about transportation. That's all we need to look at so far. So click onto your handouts page and complete the set work which has been put forward to you. So that is looking at what transportation was through the Botany Bay song and completing your mind map. Once you've done that, you're also going to do your research task, which is when you are using the Old Bailey website, looking up 4 different people and seeing why they were transported, when they were transported, and how long they were transported for. That is the end of this lesson. Thank you for listening. And if you have any issues, please email your teacher. Thank you.